Hi, my name's Jay. I'm just a dude from Southern California living my best life. I've got a lot of projects, and it's been suggested I share the progress. I'm not a trained mechanic, but I have tools and am scary enough to try and use them. So sit back and watch me, an average Joe, or Jay, attempt to get through some typical and some not so typical jobs. Hey, welcome back to Average Joe. So today I did not do an intro video because it was dark and I just kind of got excited and rushed into it. But today we will be working on our DC section of the van. So all of this is a fuse panel I'm installing right now for all of our DC circuits. This particular fuse panel is I believe a 6 or an 8 fuse. I think it's 6. So, I mean, if you really break it down, how many DC circuits? I don't plan on having that many. I have DC lights. I have a DC fan. Our appliances, we haven't figured that quite out yet. So, there will be a plug-in cooktop, which is power and needs AC. So that's for an inverter. That won't be DC. We do have some outlets in the van. That's all AC, so that'll be the inverter as well. I do think I might add in a DC charge port for phones, but right now I think 6 circuits should be good just to get us started and going. So this particular, for this breaker or fuse panel, I just grabbed a piece of pine, and you can see the 3 screws, screwed it to the studs right there, and I just screwed in the fuse panel, and we're starting to run our main feed wires that come from our battery to the fuse panel, which is the load. So I went with 10 gauge. 10 gauge amperage. I don't have the max total, but for running a fan and some lights, which is barely 5 to 10 amps. Right now we should be fine with 10 gauge. When I was installing this, I did install, because the way the cover and the labels were, the hot had to be at the top, which I didn't like, because that means anything coming down can, hit positive. And that positive goes right to the battery. So quickly I figured out that I was going to need another breaker between the DC fuse panel and the load, which seems redundant because you do have DC fuses, but if I wanted to work on it, I wanted to be able to shut down all power to it. So I did quickly see what needed to be upgraded after this. Here we're adding the positive wire to the top, and although I've protected the wire by going through the stud into the back section of wiring where I seem to be storing all my wires, it's still more open than I would like to see. It doesn't feel safe and secure for me. So I'll be going back to try to figure out how to keep things from falling into the top of that fuse panel. So in the interest of trying to make it look really clean, I did end up copying the way the positive feeds. So I drilled another hole just to make it look nice and clean. So with this location, it's kind of more the utility section of the van, so you won't have access to this while driving. This will probably be more of a access from the back of the van. We have some other upgrades that are going to kind of block in the access from the inside to this back area. So once we got our feeder wires, then we made sure to set our length for going to the batteries. Here we're adding more fittings for the battery connections. Trying to relocate the camera so that you can see both the battery and the fuse panel and get a better look at what's going on. So I'm extra cautious, and here you can see I've got both positive and negative terminals have caps as well as tape, just to stop a lot of other ones have like a terminal module, so high cables go from the battery to the terminal module, and then the terminal module allow you to connect a bunch of connections. And with this project, I have found that it seems to be building itself. So as I progress, I see what is needed and make sure to add it. And I will try to get you a full wire diagram of what we've got going currently. But this video is just so much wiring, I didn't think you'd want to sit for the whole thing. So I've got it going fast forward while I tell you what I'm doing. So now we've got our feeder circuits, our positive and negative coming from our battery, going to our load, which is the fuse panel. And now I'm investigating. I had already wired up the lights on a previous video and fed some wires over to the panel. So now it was just a matter of us having to get the wires down where they needed to go and feed them into the fuse panel as our first circuit. So these lights that I'm wiring up are DC lights. We found one set came with 4, and it really lit up the van with our tests. So once I looked up the power supply, and it only outputted DC at 1 amp. So this is a very light power circuit. I think the smallest I had was a 5 amp fuse. And you'll see me put that in a little later. So we're just wiring. The wiring for these lights was actually 22 gauge, and I just continued that from the main light power feed, which is up by the slider door of the van, all the way back here to feed into the fuse panel. So we successfully have our DC fuse panel, and I'm going to celebrate with a nice sticker. We added the fuse panel came with stickers, and so my first circuit is going to be the DC lights. There'll be a lot more videos on this as we add in more circuits to our DC panel, and we also have to add in a breaker between the supply, our battery, and this fuse panel. I don't like having no control. So that'll be in a later episode. We'll go ahead and add in some more fuse panels. But we finished the DC fuse panel, and we're one step closer. So that's at least, check that off the list. So, Average Joe, hope you enjoyed the video. Comment if you have any questions, or it doesn't even have to pertain to this project. I can also answer questions on other things. pertaining to kind of solar systems and stuff, and it's probably getting pretty good at it. But hope you enjoyed it, and have a wonderful day and a good week. Good luck on your own projects. Average Joe. See you later.